So, guys, trying out this new live thing and watching this Belgium Denmark game. The Danish have actually started really well here, and I don't know. Maybe Belgium is trying not to win this game, but I'm going to go ahead and give credit to the Danish side actually, because they've just been on the front foot for most of this game, which is pretty cool to see. You know, considering that they lost their best player in the first game, which they lost to Finland. So this has been pretty good actually. They setting up in the same structure as the Belgians with Roberto Martinez. They're always playing 3-4-3. The Belgium team. And Denmark, they've gone away from their 4-3-3 structure, and they're setting up in a 3-4-3 as well. So far, they've actually been on top of the game, which is pretty cool to see. And that does help that they're playing at home as well. You know, so at the moment, yeah, like it looks like Belgium are just not awake yet. Let's see how the second half will go. There's about 10 minutes left in this half, but yeah, it'll be interesting to hear if some of you guys are watching this game and like to hear some of your thoughts. I thought Denmark were going to be the team that was shell shocked by Christian Eriksen's health difficulty from the last time, but actually they've come out the stronger team. You know, so far they don't look like the trauma of that experience is destroying them. So this is pretty cool for them. I hope they can see it through, because I'm sure Belgium will be qualifying even if they lose today's game. They will beat whoever they play next. I think they'll play Finland. That should be an easy game for them. But anyway, while this game is playing, I thought I'll also share a couple of thoughts around transfers. Tottenham find ways. They just find ways, man, to shoot themselves in the foot. In a space of about 2.5 weeks, Tottenham Hotspur have found a way to get left at the altar by a manager candidate that they were trying to employ. It's broken earlier on today, about an hour and a half ago, that Paolo Fonseca, who was their second choice, actually not even their second choice, because they wanted Conte, who walked away because there was a lack of ambition, at least according to what Conte wanted. You know, he wanted his own staff. He wanted his own. He wanted to have a clear path of like what was the plan and how much money would he have to spend. Remember, Antonio Conte walked away from the Inter job, after winning the league there, and walked away from the Inter Milan job because, he felt, Inter needed to sell and he didn't want to lose that many players. In order to, he felt like he wanted to get stronger from the position of winning instead of having to sell players to make up for some of the financial deficits. So Tottenham basically couldn't come to an agreement with Paolo Fonseca. I think it was to do with money. Even though Fonseca was a much cheaper option compared to Antonio Conte, but I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not even a Spurs fan, but like I can't imagine. I don't normally care what Spurs fans feel as a person who supports Arsenal myself, but my God, like I don't wish that on any fan, to be honest. A team trying to find a manager and they find ways to botch it, and maybe they'll go over the top now to overcompensate. But like for those fans are probably going to be wondering what the fuck's going on, because 2 weeks and two candidates walk away at the final stages after agreeing. At least Conte was trending towards an agreement, and then it got it just fell apart. Fonseca had agreed personal terms, agreed salary, I believe, as well. It was a much cheaper option than Conte, but the tax in England, I guess, is far more disadvantageous compared to the taxes in Italy. So he wanted, I guess, for the club to help cover some of that, and they couldn't find an agreement. And on the Arsenal front, though, like, it's been really interesting to. It's about 5 minutes left in this game, in this half. Denmark still leading, and yeah, it looks like Belgium now is starting to push back a little bit. But anyway, back to the transfer talk. So Arsenal are looking to be quite serious about this Ben White kid, and that's really, really encouraging, if you ask me, because the kid can play. He's a center back, and I think a lot of people have seen him play there a lot more than in any other position. But he can go out right, especially if you're playing in a back three. He can kind of cover that right channel of defense and allow the right wing back to push forward. So that's a plus. But also, interestingly, like Callum Chambers, the kid can play and play really, really competently in central midfield. And so to see Arsenal looking at a kid who can, play those three positions is actually quite smart, especially at the price we're talking here. Remember, the squad is probably going to need to be trimmed down next year because, there's going to be limited minutes to go around. So to have players who can do multiple roles, especially when you think about Ainsley Maitland-Niles coming out a few days ago saying, he doesn't know what's going on with the club, and as far as like the planning for him, I think he's trying to force the meta there and force the issue and make Arsenal make a decision. And fair play to the kid for wanting to get clarity for himself. But I don't think Arsenal are going to take that, very well, that he went and spoke in the media about, things that Arsenal like to keep confidential. So, it's probably looking more and more likely that Ainsley will leave the club. Unfortunate, because I actually do think with where our squad is developmentally, I actually think the kid could offer quite a bit, for the club in terms of his versatility and the quality. He has some quality, but I don't think he's the quality of being able to play for Arsenal in midfield as he wants. I don't think he would like he would like make the greatest impact there at a club of Arsenal's level. So Arsenal got a bid knocked back yesterday. It's reported to have been about £40 million worth of money offered to Brighton, but Brighton have said no. But it's a negotiation. Reports are coming out saying that Brighton want about £50 million for the player. So that's going to be interesting to see, how it falls. But when you look at the kid, he does definitely look like a version of a David Luiz type of centre back. He's very, very comfortable on the ball. Walks out of defense with it. He's got good strength and good skill to dribble past players and then play really good long range passes, and can play 1-2s as well. He's an excellent ball carrier from what I see. And it sounds like the other deal that Arsenal are likely to close sooner than later. I mean, nothing's ever done until it's done, but they're very likely to close on the Belgian kid, who also is similarly a kid who can play, in midfield, but as well as probably you can use him as an outside. I mean, he hasn't been used a lot in this position, but you can use him as a right back, or you can play him in a midfield three. And Albert Sambi Lokonga is the kid's name. He is a player that I think is a very interesting option as well. If you think about Ben White being versatile, Albert Sambi Lokonga being versatile, as well as the American kid Tyler Adams being versatile. You know, Tyler Adams can play right back and center mid. I know some reporters think that this is the scattergun approach by Arsenal. I read actually one of my favorite reporters who writes for The Athletic now, big Arsenal fan, Amy Lawrence, wrote, something that made me think football is a really beautiful game, because she thinks the approach that Arsenal is taking is a bit scattered, like she called it a scattergun approach, and meaning that, it's not a very coherent, it doesn't appear to be a coherent plan. But I beg to differ. I think there's a bit of coherence in the way the stories that are coming out are pointing towards Arsenal looking to get players that are young, that you can sell on later, but players who are also adaptable. I think all the players that we've been linked with, that I've heard the biggest noise about, are really adaptable players. Tyler can play right back, center back. Ben White can play 3 positions and play all 3 really well. Also, the third player I was talking about, Albert Sambi-Lokonga, he can be a versatile, like all of these guys are like Swiss Army knives type players. And this is what we need, when you're going to trim your squad down, if you're going to trim the squad down to like maybe, 18 rotation players with about 7 or so or less to cover, some of them, because Arsenal has no Europe next year. So, I think this is going to be a really interesting window, if they can close on some of these really young, talented players who are able to cover up so many different, positions. And you can change formations with these kinds of players too. You can play in a back 3, you can play in a 4-3-3, which we haven't done in a long time. And when we've tried it, we look very flat and boring, because in a 4-3-3, you need players who can actually carry the ball between defense and the attacking half of the field. Joe Willock would make an interesting option for that, in my opinion. I think Joe Willock, as an athlete, he kind of reminds me of a player like, I think he's a more skillful version of this guy who used to play for Watford but bought by Everton, Doucouré, I think is his name. He's a midfielder, and he's he can run in between the 2 boxes really well, and very clean on the ball in terms of running with it. He's not the best passer, Joe Willock, but I think he's a player that I think Arsenal would do really well to tie up. And imagine, with Partey sitting deep, or even Neves sitting deep with 2 young guys, whether it's Adams, Lokonga, Willock, even Smith Rowe can play in the 8 role if we can't get a very expensive number 10, because this James Maddison story, it's very, very loud at the moment. James Maddison to Arsenal is a very big story at the moment in the last 12 hours. I do think Maddison is a great player, and it would be awesome for any top 6, top 4 team to get James Maddison. But Arsenal and their pay structure, like their structured deals, wanting to pay over the term of the contract, I think it's going to be very difficult to secure a player of Maddison's caliber from a Premier League rival. I think Leicester and clubs like Aston Villa are not going to be too keen on helping Arsenal get better, and rightfully so. I don't think they should be too keen on helping a team that they see as a rival at the moment to get better with their planning and all that kind of stuff. So, it's going to be interesting to see, what deals Arsenal can actually get over the line. But I do think, it's really exciting, and I think we should be patient and just wait and see, rather than make judgment calls this early. But let's read between the tea leaves and let's see what happens. The game is at halftime now, but I'm going to be talking a little bit later on, about the 2 o'clock kickoff between Austria and who they play, the Netherlands, because the Netherlands are a very fascinating team. Fans are unhappy with the coach, and they've just been calling him out on this 3-5-2 system that he's playing, because the Netherlands are a 4-3-3 country, from way back. And so, last week, actually, before their first game, fans flew a plane over the training ground, telling Frank de Boer to play a 4-3-3 instead of the 3-5-2 that he's been favoring. So that's going to be interesting, because actually they played a very offensive 3-5-2 in that first game, and they won it 3-2. I think Austria will be an interesting opposition, because they play also with 3 at the back, and they have Alaba and Sabitzer, who are big game performers. And all around that Austrian team, they don't have superstars, but they play together, and that's going to be an interesting match in a couple of hours' time now. And I don't know. I'd love to hear some of y'all's thoughts on who you think is going to win this tournament, because at the moment it looks to me like France, Italy are the top 2 teams that I think could take it all. But I do like the look of Portugal. They're predictable, they're boring, but they have talent all over that team, man. My God. So Portugal does look good. And I think this might be an opportunity for England to also break their tournament hoodoo. So I think for me, those are like some of the 4 top teams that could do damage in this tournament. I think Belgium, if they can get back Axel Witsel and Kevin De Bruyne, that also takes them up a notch. But I don't know at the moment with the the level of injuries that most teams have been suffering with, that Belgium can't really, outside of their best 11 to 13 players, I don't know how much more they can handle, because they also have Eden Hazard, who's not fit. So I don't know if there's going to be enough time for those players to be fit and perform at their top. Otherwise, Belgium would be one of my picks too. But it's going to be very difficult, I imagine, for Belgium to take it all. They're going to need to be very lucky with injuries in order for them to take it all. Because I like the way they play. I think their coach is very positive, but it's going to be difficult. But maybe they do the damage and win it all. What do you guys think? I don't know if you got any favorites to win the Euros, but I do like those 4 to 5 teams that I said. France and Italy, in no particular order, I think could take it. And I think England and Portugal as the outsiders, for me, are my top 4 teams. I can't see beyond those 4 teams. Anybody who has a different opinion, I'm more than happy to hear it. What do you guys think about what I'm saying? And also just like, what are your teams? Interesting to hear what you feel about your teams and how they're doing in the transfer window at the moment. I think Belgium will probably play a better second half. I think Belgium will play a better second half. And question from Poolside, the official channel, what's my prediction of this game? Yeah, I think Belgium will probably win it. I don't know if Denmark can sustain the level of performance they showed in this first half. I think Belgium will have better players coming off the bench. So my prediction is that Belgium will take a win in this game. I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I would like to see Denmark get through to the next round at least, especially after what happened with Eriksen. But yeah, I think Belgium, even though they're losing 1-0, I think they still win in this game. What do you think? What do you guys think? You got Belgium, or you got Denmark? And what do you think about the game later? Belgium, sorry, Netherlands, Austria. That should be a much more interesting game, because those teams, in terms of quality and where they are, I mean, I expect that the Netherlands to be better than Austria, but I think that should be, in my opinion, the game of the day. I think Belgium, Denmark, Denmark have played nice so far, but I think Belgium is going to have too much for them when it's all said and done. And actually, while we still have time, I'm remembering the game between Italy and the first two Italian games. Actually, they've really opened up my eyes about the strength of that team. They're just so good at the moment that, like, Roberto Mancini doesn't even, he's normally a very hot-headed type of coach, Roberto Mancini. But with this Italian team, Mancini has been pretty much looking like, Arsene Wenger on the sideline, very quiet, doesn't need to do a lot. But I think he's done a lot in building the culture of that Italian side. And I want to give him credit, actually, for the style of play that they've been playing. Italy are very appealing on the eye. It's been very beautiful to see them play. And I actually saw yesterday, when I saw Switzerland chasing the game, when they scored the first goal, Italy, with the type of forwards they have, they are dangerous, because they keep the ball so well, and then their front line is as good as any. I think the only front line that will be better than Italy's at the moment, in terms of like their chemistry and playing together, it'd probably be France. I think the front line for Portugal is too Ronaldo centric, so it makes them predictable. Where the ball is going to end up. It's going to always end up with Cristiano. Now, it doesn't mean that he won't score, because Cristiano always finds a way to score. But with the Italians, I think they can hit you from from the left side with Insigne. They can hit you from the middle and from the right. And I do like the left side combinations between Insigne and Spinazzola. But I do also think Immobile and Berardi, Immobile, the center forward, and then Berardi on the right. And then after that, they still have other players, who are not even in the starting 11. Like I like Bernardeschi as a player from the bench, and there's a couple of others, man. Like it's just that Italian team is really going to shock a lot of people. If they haven't already, because of the way they've been playing. But it's going to be interesting to see. I'll be coming back on to chat about the 2 p.m. game between Austria and the Netherlands. That's my game of the day, and I think It's going to be a very fascinating one. So thanks for those of you who hopped on and asked a few questions. We'll talk again soon. Cheerio.